I think one fundamental principle for us is that climate finance must reach those who are most impacted, by climate change, and so we see that in many of the rural areas, particularly, actually a third of the world's food is produced by smallholder farmers. But we see that they actually access less than 1% of climate finance. And so there's a disconnect between where the climate finance is going and where it's needed. And actually, in the lead up to COP30, IFAD partnered with Project Dandelion, which is an initiative that was founded by Her Excellency Mary Robinson, the former President of Ireland, to really ask climate leaders to really channel climate finance where it's needed most. And this is with the smallholder farmers. I think secondly, because IFAD is both a specialized UN agency and also an international finance institution, an IFI, primarily our work is through governments, so through loans and grants, and so governments would be designing large-scale agricultural programs. And from our experience, what we've seen is that while it is very important to have targeted support and targeted focus on gender and women's empowerment, numbers are not sufficient because there's sometimes a very big focus on outreach, numbers. But we need to go beyond the numbers, and we need to really ask ourselves, what outcomes are we seeing? What outcomes are we achieving? Are incomes changing? Is resilience, as women's resilience being enhanced? Are restrictive norms shifting? Because we see that rural women continue to face very, ingrained structural barriers to really their empowerment. So in access to finance, in access to land, in access to technologies, and therefore, whatever interventions that are embedded need to really be looking at how to address those structural barriers. And so we emphasize, for example, within our agreements with governments, that we really need to have a results-based focus. And so we are employing a results-based lending approach, where we tie disbursements to actual results that are achieved. And we are seeing that this is moving away from compliance to actual transformation on the ground.